Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and today I want to talk about Rory Williams and the trouble with Rory in Doctor Who. This because basically a couple of times recently I've been asked what my thoughts are on the theories to do with Rory, and these are all to do with his inconsistencies, abnormalities, oddities, ever since the character first appeared in the 11th hour. Now, I'm not going to go into every little last detail, basically because there are entire websites and message boards dedicated to theorizing about this, and they're very easy to find if you Google it and stuff like that. But chances are, if you've been watching Doctor Who since Series 5 to begin with, you've probably picked up on a lot of this stuff anyway. So if we go back to the 11th hour, though, within minutes we have our very first inconsistency, and that is his hospital ID badge. It's dated as being issued in 1990, and yet the events in the episode are supposed to be taking place in 2010. So if he's supposed to have been a childhood friend of Amy and they've grown up together, his age range is already not adding up correctly, and it just goes from there. As a friend of mine on FB pointed out, the crack in Amy's wall brought Prisoner Zero through it. It surely could have brought something else with it. And what that something else is remains to be seen. Now, one of the predominant theories is that Rory is somehow the Master, or I'd like to add another Time Lord. And that is because the biggest evidence is that, of course he sired a child with Amy that was part Time Lord, and it would kind of explain how he's been killed so many times and brought back, even though there are some loose explanations to that point, but also all the times that he's had weird conversations where he's reacted weirdly to things or said things that just sounded off, and other things like that. I mean, there was one episode, the one with the Minotaur, and they're all in the hotel. He sees an exit way, and it's never explained. He never says anything about it, and he talks in the past tense and all of this stuff. These are just a few of the small things that really stand out as far as not adding up with the character. Now, as far as the Master theory goes, I don't necessarily subscribe to the idea that he could be the Master. I mean, it's definitely possible. He could very much like Professor Yana be containing the Master side of himself in a fob watch or some other device, only to be unleashed later when it's really, a pivotal moment and just all hell's about to break loose. But I think more likely, if he were a Time Lord, it would be a different Time Lord. I mean, look at, the Time Lords of the past, President Barusa, and even the Monk. I mean, maybe this could even be the Ronnie playing one hell of a mind game being in a male guise. I think the possibilities along those lines are definitely endless, and there's enough to support it, but of course, I think it was also possibly disproven in Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, because Rory and his father, they're genetically linked, and they both had to jack into the Silurian ship to save it. They could only pilot it by being genetically linked. And of course, if they were somehow Time Lords, well, it's not impossible, but wouldn't the Doctor have caught that? I would think so by now. I mean, he's not obtuse. He would pick up on stuff like that. So this is just one of the theories. Another theory comes from one of my subscribers who recently posted this, that this could all be a delusion. It could all be sort of a psychic projection manipulating the Doctor, and it's all coming from the Order of the Question. People like the Silence and Madame Kavarian are in control of this, and they're trying to direct the Doctor towards some ends. Now, I would like to say that if that's possible, they're probably trying to make the dark side of the Doctor come out, because of course we've been seeing that little by little as we go on. And I think it's very interesting that Amy and Rory are into play, because I mean, the question remains, are they really there? Are they being used to manipulate the Doctor? Or could they just be as much a figment of the imaginations of the Order of the Question as everything else is? It would explain away why Skaro was suddenly back unexplained out of the time lock, and why the Daleks were acting more like the Cybermen. It would explain away the inconsistencies. And again, the Doctor has been getting darker with every successive episode. And just look at what he did to Solomon. Now, my own theory has to do with the Weeping Angels, and it's one that basically says at some point during the series, Rory must have been displaced in time by the angels. And essentially, the Doctor has been sort of breaking the rules by keeping Rory in the current timeline, putting him in the TARDIS, keeping him with Amy to make Amy happy, and just keeping that couple together. And it would kind of explain why he's so obsessed with them, why he won't leave them behind. He's left them on Earth, but he keeps checking up on them. It's almost as if he's afraid something's going to catch up to them, and it's almost as if he feels guilty for it. So kind of like Sally Sparrow's friend in the episode Blink, Rory might have been displaced in time, and the Doctor's trying to keep him with Amy and keep them safe, even though that goes against, the timeline and everything like that. So, I mean, these are just a few theories that, have to do with Rory, and I'd of course love to hear from you guys in the comments below or as a video response what you think of it all. Do you think that Rory could be a Time Lord? Do you think he could be perhaps an alien symbiote who just supplanted into Amy's mind, that they grew up together and it's all a ruse? Do you think it's all a delusion by the order of the question, or could it be that the timelines have been manipulated by the Doctor to keep Rory in the current timeline when he was originally displaced? I'd love to hear from you, and that's going to be pretty much it for me on this one, so I'll catch you later. Peace.